Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I've done any updates and a lot of stuff has happened in between. I debated on whether or not I was going to make this video, but then I decided I will make it because I've been sharing so much and I feel like what I've been through these past few months is so crucial to everything in my life that if I don't share it, it's leaving a big chapter out. And if people are watching my stuff, I want to be candid about experiences that I've been having because this is a part of my whole nursing journey. And yeah, so with that said, if you are offended by anything that I say or you don't agree with me sharing, please keep it to yourself because it's irrelevant. So the last update that I had for you guys was when I posted to my story that I was quitting, and it was actually my last day. Leading up to that point, I already knew I was going to quit. At that point, I had already got in contact with a new agency. This agency was so good. I'll eventually make a video on red flags for an agency because my first agency was obviously not good to me. And one of the problems with this agency is that they didn't write the letter for my visa properly. So I had to go back to the border to renew my visa because it was expiring. So I'll just give you a backstory on how hard it was to work for this agency, but basically they only cared about the money and they didn't care about me at all, and I really felt that. And one of my life lessons right now is that I really cared about making the most amount of money, and now after going through a lot, I genuinely don't care about making the most amount of money if it means that I'm suffering mentally and that I'm not doing things that I'm happy with. And honestly, where I was, it wasn't where I wanted to be, and no amount of money was worth it. So it was hard to give up a job where I was getting paid a lot of money, but at the same time, my mental was suffering. And now I'm at the point where I really don't care how much money a job is going to pay me. If it's killing me, then it doesn't matter. I needed to get a new letter from this agency because I needed to go to the border and get a new visa. And I'll let you know, the first time I went to the border, they literally told me that the agency wrote the letter really poorly. So they gave me a guideline to give to them so that they can write it properly the next time. I gave them all this stuff and I said, please write me the letter because I need that in order to renew my visa so that I can work here. I cannot live here legally if I don't have a visa. They gave me such a hard time. Like, they didn't answer me. When I had a question, they would take like weeks to answer me. Eventually they said they'll send it to me. They didn't send it to me when they said they were going to send it, even after they said I'll send it on this date. But by the time I got the stuff, I was already in works with this new agency, and they had told me that I can work for their company, but we were trying to find a perfect fit, like a perfect job. And at that point, I was not in a rush. I kind of needed to recoup anyways, so I was okay with taking a break for a bit. At that point, I was proud of myself because I was starting to let go and not having to be in control of every single little thing. Before that point, like, honestly, if I wasn't working, I felt like a failure because I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I feel like I had a lot of life lessons in this past month, and I felt grateful that I had this time and this break. I acknowledge that this is a blessing because I'm in a privileged position where my husband can provide for us and I don't have to rush back to work. But a week after I quit my job, I found out I was pregnant. And honestly, I was happy. I was so happy because it was something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be a mom. I was always scared to be a mom. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I was excited. Now in this new mindset where I didn't need to control everything and everything will work out. It's not in my hands. So I was great with it. I was so excited. And in this month, so this was in March and April, my husband and I, we went back and forth to Canada. And then in these months, I guess you would say, because this was in March, so March, April, and it's May now, I think on paper you'd be like, oh wow, look at this girl, like she had 2 months off of not working, like that's so nice. But no, like I was pregnant right away and I was so sick in my pregnancy, like I couldn't eat, I was vomiting, nauseous, like everything. I had no energy. So I thought of it as a blessing because honestly the first trimester kills you. And then it was also Ramadan in that time, so there was a lot of slowing down and spending time with family. It really flew by that time. Long story short, at the end of April, I went in for a ultrasound and my baby was measuring behind and heartbeat was bradycardic. It was 90, so I did research on it, and you know, some people say that that's fine. My HCG, I was sent in for beta HCGs and they were going up. HCG was consistent with where I was supposed to be in pregnancy, so I was anxious, but I was like, okay, it's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Back in Indiana, and at this point, I found out that, you know, I'm probably gonna have an orientation for my job. Everything's gonna work out. I'm pregnant, having a baby, you know, everything's great. Go into my ultrasound, and they said that there is no baby. And so my baby didn't develop properly, and it got absorbed, but my body still thought I was pregnant. Hormones were still going up. My gestational sac and yolk sac was in there, and so my body was just not registering that I was having a miscarriage, and this is called a miscarriage. Basically, my doctor said, I'll give you a week to try and naturally miscarry on your own if you want, but then the other options are you can take a pill to abort the pregnancy, or we can put you in for surgery, or a D&C procedure, which is what it's called. And that week of my life was absolute hell because I didn't have insurance that was going to cover the D&C. That's one thing about living in the States, is that healthcare sometimes is just so shoddy. So I was trying to figure out, do I go back to Canada and have this D&C done, or should I just get it over and done with and take these pills now? Honestly, I was not in a good state because I was still vomiting and I couldn't eat, and I was still pregnant, and my baby wasn't here anymore, and I just felt like this is the worst. Like, this is the absolute worst. And every day kind of wishing that I would bleed and miscarry, but my body was just not doing it, and I was just, I thought I was going crazy. But eventually it worked out. My husband booked me a ticket to go back to Canada, and you know, I was lucky to have support from my family and his family, and they helped me out and had the procedure done. And oh God, it was hard. Like, it was tough. If anybody has any questions about that, I know that miscarriage is something that's very taboo to be talking about, and I think that is really sad. I've gotten a lot of comments that, you know, you shouldn't really tell people that you're pregnant in the first trimester for this reason, and I just think that that's a terrible thing to say to people because it's one of the hardest things to go through. So it was tough. That was a week ago now, and I'm still having a hard time hormonally. If you look it up, it takes a long time for your HCG to go down, so I just waiting for everything to kind of balance out, but that's where I am in life. Today I kind of made the decision that I'm not in a rush to go back to work. I was sad in the beginning because I was like, I haven't worked in so long and I feel like a failure. I had to remember to put into perspective that since the day that I quit, I have been through a lot, and it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to not be working. And I know a lot of people have been watching me and watching this journey, and you know, and I felt like, okay, I'm letting people down. I took a job and then it didn't work out, but I think that the things that I went through have really helped me see things in a perspective that I wouldn't be able to see before, and that I don't have control over every little thing in my life, and that's okay. And actually, it's so good to let go and not have control and be like, everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. So yes, I do have a lot of people asking me, what happened to me? Am I working? No, currently not. I just wanted to share because I feel like this has taught me so much. And looking back at my old self before I had went through all of this, I was just so toxic in the sense that I wanted everything to be perfect, and I felt like I needed to do everything on this timeline that I made up. But life doesn't work that way, and honestly, I was just young and dumb and naive, and this is a good life lesson for me where I can start to really appreciate that life does not have to be so black and white, and it's okay. Things will work out the way it's supposed to work out. I didn't share this because I want attention and I want sympathy from anybody. I just feel like it's something that people go through in life, and it's okay to talk about it. That's it for me right now. If you are watching this and if you've been through something similar, or you feel like life is just not working out for you, just know that you're not alone. And there's so many people that are going through so many things in life, and there's no perfect path for you to walk that you have to follow. Thank you for all your support, and I will see you soon.